welcome to another episode of Office Hours with Yale Appliance. My name is Francesco, sales manager here at Yale. We're joined today by a special guest, a little bit of a different topic today. So we're joined by Tim Willis, who's our director of service here at Yale. Tim, how you doing today?
Great, thanks, Fan.
All right, so typically we talk a lot about appliances and what's popular, lead times, things like that. Today we really wanted to dig into service and appliance service and maintenance and things like that a little bit more. At Yale, the service is so important because it really means so much more than just the sale. It's really about the service and service after the fact and really making sure that you have someone to go to. And if there's a problem with the appliance, how do all those things happen? So we always like to start the show with a topic. And, one topic that's consistently come up here since we started the show and probably will continue to come up is supply chain and COVID and how that's really impacted appliance lead times and purchase habits and things like that. And, we haven't really talked about the service end. How have those same issues with the supply chain and COVID, things like that, how has that affected you on the service side and service in general?
Yeah, Fran. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's bad, right? Part logistic delays is real industry-wide. It has a great impact on the timeline. Where are we now compared to before the pandemic is much different across all the industry. In addition, the supply chain delays on new product, this creates more customers to continue servicing appliances, maybe that they shouldn't. And this doesn't help availability at all.
Yeah, it definitely has been tough. And, even on the sales end, certainly we hear about it too. And it's kind of like, appliance service and kind of the service industry in general. And part of that certainly is parts availability for sure. And part of it, what you hear out there is even just finding good people like it is in a lot of industries. I'm sure that's something that has certainly affected it too. It's, finding the people, the parts and things like that. So it's certainly something we deal with in this industry for sure across the board. Absolutely. So, just kind of talking about service and the repair process, if I'm a customer and I've really never had appliance service, I've never done this, what should a good experience look like to a customer?
Yeah, Fran, it starts with good communication, right, between the servicer. Easy contact, less hold times, making sure you provide detailed complaint, right? Hopefully it leads to pre-screening and first call resolution. If the servicer, Fran, isn't asking you questions, well, how do they know the approach and what to bring? So, for instance, my oven's not working. Well, hopefully they're being asked what's not working. Is it the right front burner? Is it the bake? That way they could be more prepared on the call.
Absolutely. So should a customer expect a technician to be bringing parts with them on that first call?
2 years ago, I'd say absolutely. We do have additional resources here in pre-screening parts, along with truck inventory, as most servicers do. However, with the parts logistic issues since the pandemic, it's making things increasingly more difficult. Now, we do everything we can to be prepared for the call, and I would hope others are doing the same as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you kind of going back to a lot of things that we talk about the sales end and kind of setting the right expectation and asking those qualifying questions, really the same thing on the service side and how critical it is to make sure that technician is coming out at least prepared and knowledgeable about what could be the problem. And hopefully, like you said, kind of fix that on that first stop too.
Absolutely.
As much as possible. Certainly delays with parts and things like that absolutely can affect that for sure. So, just switching gears a little bit to maintenance and kind of preventing service from needing to happen. So what are some things that a customer can do to help maintain their appliances to extend the longevity and how long they last and to avoid any potential issues?
Yeah, certainly I got a book of them, but I'll give you a few right off the top. Dryer vent, once a year. If you're not cleaning your dryer vent, you should absolutely do so. Also, if you're seeing extended dry times before that annual maintenance, that's a good indication that, it's time to do that prior to the annual maintenance. So dry vent cleaning, when it comes to dishwashers, a lot of customers don't know that there's filters underneath the bottom rack and the majority of them. These should be cleaned out quarterly, just to make sure that debris and we can get some of that excess of soap out of the way for continual improvement when it comes to washability, and hey, speaking of washability, don't wash the dishes prior to putting them in. That's a big myth, quick scrape, let the dishwasher do the work. Soap needs, when it comes to ketchup, mustard, coffee, it needs that to absorb to send it down there rather than staying inside the unit, and which could cause maintenance issues and so forth in the long term of the unit. And that goes with soap and laundry too, Fran. How many times do we see HE soaps out there in the market where you see ×2 concentration to 6 concentration? Which one do I use? You know, you got to make sure you're picking the right setting on your washer, first off. Make sure you're using the right soap, because soap is a big killer. It can cause big maintenance and longevity of the appliance as well. Hey, I recommend also dump the ice once a month. I call it feed the plants. Take that ice out, feed the plants, clean out. It's going to taste better. But also, don't forget, ice is melting a little bit every day. And it's called clumping. So it can cause, if you've got an ice dispenser for the kids and stuff, it can cause mechanical stuff if it's all clumped up together. So it's just easier to feed the plants once a month, clean it out. It's going to taste better, and it's going to actually improve the longevity of those mechanical components as well. You know,
definitely.
Hey, always keep on lookout for pre-maintenance programs like refrigerator, condensing cleaners. These can save hundreds of dollars rather than waiting for failure and dealing with repairs or food loss.
Yeah, no question. And, it's like even some of us here in the industry, it's some of these things that you don't really think about it, you forget about it. And it's like, oh, crap. And then all of a sudden it's, you're having a problem with the appliance and you're like, yeah, probably should have done that. It's like a lot of the things you have in your home, everything requires some sort of maintenance to make sure that it's working properly. And one of the things we try to always say too on the sales side is, for customers, when you're buying a new dishwasher, or you're buying any new appliance, anything like that, it's, even look at that use and care guide. There's so many great tips in the use and care guide. And listen, nobody wants to sit at home for a half an hour and read a manual about their dishwasher, but there's some really good tips on there that really will help you to maximize maximize all the features in that dishwasher to make sure you're maintaining it properly. And a lot of those things, like you mentioned, it's not even that they're really difficult to do. It's just, you got to make sure you do it. Make sure you kind of clean the filters, as you said, or some of the services that require a professional are critical, like dryer vents and things like that too. So,
and they make it a lot easier to read these days in the books compared to what they used to.
Yeah, no question. So, speaking of appliance service, and a lot of the stores around here, and especially if you go to like a big box store like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, really they don't service their own appliance. So why is it so difficult to find places that actually service what they sell, or just how difficult is it to find appliance technicians in general, even if it's just an independent appliance service?
Yeah, Fred. First it starts with the cost. It's expensive, right? But technician recruitment is difficult. These aren't job wages. These are career wages. These are career opportunities that generally come with benefits, consistent training in the industry. It's very easy for a salesperson, a sales company, to give an 800 number for after sales services. So I always say, hey, when you're looking to purchase a new appliance, you got to keep delivery, installation, repair services in mind. After sale is who's providing these services, for you. Part of our success is that's because we offer these services.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, what we always say again, kind of on the sales side, is that, I don't care what brand, what appliance, how much you're spending, you're never going to find something that's perfect and is never going to break. It's just the nature of how they are nowadays. These things just kind of, you need service, you need maintenance. Unfortunately, we've seen the stats. It's that, 1 out of 5 of your appliances, 1 out of 4 of your appliances are going to need service in that first year. It's just kind of how they are. And that's why it's so critical to know up front who's the company that's going to be servicing this when inevitably you do have a problem with it. And because that definitely tends to happen for sure.
Absolutely. You're going to need some minor adjustment. And if it's not serviced, it's some minor adjustment from somebody eventually. So, yep.
All right. Very good. So, now maybe you've had an appliance for a few years and you need appliance service, and, the technician comes out and they're giving you a quote to repair. How do you decide as a customer, how do I know if it's in my best interest to go ahead and spend the money to repair, or should I just go ahead and replace that appliance?
Yeah, we get this consistently. Hey, appliances don't last 30 years anymore, right? Let's face it. And if they do, they were not really all that energy efficient like they are today. So yeah, we're going to get a little less time now, but we're going to save in the energy efficiency. But hey, get an upfront estimate. Know your warranty. That's important. It's in your book. Do you have a 1 year or 2 year? Is there a 5-year limited on parts? Make sure the breakdown is clear on parts and labor, separating it. If the cost of the repair is going to be, getting close to the replacement cost, well, it's time to consider replacement, right? And the other thing is, does the servicer offer anything back with a new purchase, or if you don't move forward with the repair? I kind of ended as track your repair and an investment, not just a single repair, Fran, but overall, the last thing you want to do is have a 9-year-old dishwasher that you ended up, spending $700 in, but over the course of 9 years, but it's only a $500 dishwasher. So know how much you're investing, not just in that single repair, but overall.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's one of those, you definitely said, we see it all the time. Every day, customers coming in replacing 20-year-old refrigerator, something they've had forever. And it's like, well, again, setting that expectation, letting them know where, everything's much more efficient today. There's so many more features. The appliances are so much better than they used to be with Wi-Fi and all these other features. But, longevity, and they're so much more efficient, but longevity, it's just certainly not there. Really your average appliance is 7, 8, 9 years or so on average for most appliances, freestanding appliances like that.
Yeah, it's the efficiency. The older fridges, Fran, keeping them just when it comes to food loss and lettuce and not lasting 14 days, right? So you got food loss, but more importantly, the cost to run it. Maybe it costs $150 a year to run an old 30-year-old refrigerator. And now where are they? $14 a year, right? And then milk is lasting longer. So you're getting it on the back end, but you're losing it on the front end.
Yeah, for sure. Now, in general, do you find that there's any kind of category maybe that's more service than another or anything like that?
Yeah, it would kind of vary overall. I would probably say, ice makers are always, anytime you get a mechanical component in a 0-degree compartment with water, you're bound to have some issues, right? But overall, no. The average is the average. It's more of an adjustment. Hey, the average probably is more in customer education than any appliance breaking in general, right? 30-40% of what we do sometimes is just education. So, and that's where going back to your book and the knowledge of how the appliance works.
All right, very good. So also kind of talking about maintenance to some degree here, but when should you self-clean your oven?
Yeah, we get this a lot, and that's kind of why we want to separate this topic here, right? In simple terms, always after. And I mean after the special function, after the birthday, after the holiday, not before. Self-cleaning features have come a long way. They run on steam and lower voltage now, but there are still components that are only used during that mode. So if you're only utilizing those components a couple times a year, it can lead to failure or adjustments. Always after, Fran.
Very good. So tell me now, why is that? So what goes into so when you're self-cleaning an oven, what is that oven doing?
Yeah, so an older version, to put in perspective, a highest temperature is a broil, maybe 550. And the older ovens, self-clean can get to 900 degrees. So you've got this latch that's locking. You're getting to really, really hot temperatures because it's kind of burning all of that off and into ash. So you're asking a lot out of the oven, especially not utilizing that particular function. It's only knowing 550 degrees or 350 in bake. So now it's seeing 900 degrees and things can happen. Latches are moving. That latch only moves during self-clean. So if you're doing it once a year or again, pre-planned before the party and that latch fails, well, guess what? There's no birthday cake. So you just better off wait until after, shut the light off in the oven. If you're worried that it's going to see in there, if company's going to see in it, shut the light off. Just make sure it's after those and it'll save you a lot of time and effort because, hey, how long is it going to take a servicer to get out there? And what if you need parts, right? So the birthday's tomorrow, more than likely you could be bumming.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned kind of some of the features on maybe some of the new, not even just newer ranges, but just some ranges have the features with the steam kind of clean and things like that. And those are nice. It's certainly something that you need to do more frequently than kind of your general overall self-clean. But those operate at a lower temperature than you'd even cook at. A lot of times it's at, roughly 200 degrees. Yeah, it uses water. It has some steam to loosen the dirt. It kind of takes a little bit more manual cleaning there. But if you're doing that consistently, would you say that that's going to be just as efficient as a general self-clean or better than that?
Yeah, and again, that's where they've come a long way. They learned those hard lessons. No one wants the energy at 900 degrees, right? So these do work out. Yeah, there's a little extra elbow grease, and I would agree with you. It's more consistent is the best, right? You don't need to wait quarterly or after that party. Run it consistently, especially if you're dealing with a little water in there. Throw it in there, the timeline, and the efficiency of these newer self-cleans is much better too. But don't forget, there's still a latch. It's still going to be locking. There's still components used in that self-clean function that haven't been used on a regular basis. So still always after.
All right. Very, very good advice. Definitely. We've all learned, seen that from experience. So there's no question that great advice to heed to there. So, going back to appliance dealers and service. So do typically appliance dealer, will they service something that they didn't sell?
You know, it's tough enough to find a dealer who does service what they sell, never mind what they don't service. Okay. So we're lucky enough here. We are a self servicing dealer, meaning we service everything that we sell. And we generally do take on non warranty work, not purchase from us as well. Now, with the industry backup, we're only servicing our own customers currently. And, hey, this also includes all of our pre maintenance programs.
Right, very good. So, just in general, wanted to kind of go back to some of the maintenance things that we talked about too. So, there's a couple programs that we do here at Yale that are extremely popular when it comes to appliance maintenance, and some of the ones that maybe are better to have a professional do and things like that. And really, one of the more common ones that we do is the Pro Refrigerator spring cleaning. Can you kind of just talk a little bit about that? What does that entail? What does the technician do when they come out to the home? And why is that so popular for us?
Yeah, it's a great program. First off, technician comes to the home. The best part is nothing's broken, right? You never want to wait for your refrigerator to break, because then you're dealing with, like I said, food loss and your time. It becomes a very big priority. So when it comes to this is a 13-point assessment. It includes, the condenser cleaning, proper airflow, to name a few, software updates, which most people don't think that are even out there, but they are. Everything's computerized today. So that's included. An overall inspection of, let's just say gaskets and door closure. And then we actually include the water and air filter replacements as well. So you don't have to put that in your mind. So that's kind of the assessment of the spring cleaning. When these high heats come around, especially in our area or in hotter areas of the country, these refrigerators can really go through a pushing. So if they're not clean, now you're causing damaged components. And again, you don't want to lead it down to that way.
Yeah. So, one of those things, like you said, really one of those kind of easier things to maintain that really extend the life of a Pro refrigerator like that. One of those things just easy to do, get it on the calendar, set yourself a reminder, set an appointment up with the technicians. Absolutely something that's worthwhile for sure.
Yeah, the best part of any pre-maintenance, Fran, is that you're scheduling it because nothing's there. So you can actually do your schedule when you need to. Once it breaks, now you're trapped. You might be taking a day off of work and everything else. So that's what I like about any pre-maintenance programs, whoever's doing them out there.
Absolutely. We're also going to have a link to the Pro refrigerator cleaning also in the description here. So if anybody wants to go back and see that, there'll be a link to that cleaning as well to see kind of what that entails there as well. So that's going to kind of wrap it up for today, Tim.
Perfect.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on, talking a little bit about service. Obviously we've had so many episodes that we've talked about sales where really the back end and the service is the largest part of our company. We just do so much of it. So we really thought it'd be a great idea to have you come on, talk a little bit about service, maintenance, what you're seeing out there. So thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Fran. Anytime. Anytime.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of Office Hours. We'll be back next Thursday at 4:00. See you then. Thanks everyone.